Recently, I was doing a little bit of research on my next big trip, and that's when I thought of the idea for this video. How do you find the right trail? It can be a pretty overwhelming process and sometimes even a little scary. So I wanted to help you out and show you my process for choosing the right trail for a backpacking trip. Okay, first things first, where are you going to go? It can really help by already having a place in mind that you might have read about, seen, or saw in a video. For me personally, I remember watching on YouTube a video from Homemade Wanderlust on her CDT thru hike, and the section where she walked through the Hilo National Forest I thought was super cool, and I really wanted to visit there. Eventually, I planned my own trip and got to backpack the Hilo National Forest for myself. If you don't already have a place in mind, you're going to need to do a little bit of research on where to go. Every state has state parks, state forests, maybe even national forests, or even national parks. These are all fantastic places to go, and most of them already have well-established backpacking trails you can follow. Keep in mind that some, if not all, national parks are going to require some sort of backpacking permit, but we're going to get into that more later. Okay, let's take this example of my next big backpacking trip. I'm a huge fan of backpacking in national forests because they have free camping everywhere, they have fantastic trails, there's not nearly as many people as national parks, and they still have some amazing places to visit. A big one on my list is the Uinta-Wasatch Cache National Forest in Utah. I'm sure I butchered that name, but look at the name. I don't know how to say that one. Uinta-Wasatch Cache National Forest. I already knew that I wanted to visit this place, and it's been on my list for a long time, so this gives me a good starting point. The next thing we need to do is just see the available trails. Now there's a bunch of apps and websites out there that you can use to help you find a trail, and usually they have free and paid options. The three that I really like are AllTrails, Gaia GPS, and Trailforks, and these are all linked in the description below this video. AllTrails seems to be the best free option right now, so for the sake of this video, we're going to stick with AllTrails. So there are three different styles of trails you can hike: out and back trails, loop trails, and point-to-point trails. If you only have one vehicle, no one to pick you up, or no transportation at the end of a trail, then it kind of rolls out point to point. That would be starting from one end and ending at another. If you don't have transportation at the end, you can't do that one. So we're just gonna stick with loop trails and out and back trails. The next thing to take in consideration is how long are you going to be backpacking? Now this is a little bit of a loaded question, but is it going to be one night, 2 nights, up to a week? The number of days is going to help you determine how long of a trail you're going to take. If you aren't familiar, a full day of backpacking can be anywhere from 8 to even up to 25 miles. 20 miles of hiking on flat ground is going to be super easy, where 3 miles of hiking up 3,000 feet is going to be pretty damn hard. Going uphill can really slow you down, especially if it's really steep. So elevation gain, or going uphill, plays a huge role in this, but in general, you can do about 3 miles per hour. I also want you to make sure that you really consider your ability level. Do not overestimate how much you can really handle, because you could be putting your life on the line, especially being super far out into the wilderness. If you aren't 100% certain you can handle 12 miles of hiking for 2 or 3 days, then consider doing a shorter trip. There are thousands of amazing trails across the country that you can choose from, so just be careful. If you want to get a good experience, and in my opinion, if you're going for at least 2 days, you're probably going to want to do at least 15 miles. Okay, now back to the whole permit thing. Most, if not all, national parks are going to require some sort of permit for backpacking. This is so they can limit the amount of people out on the trail and make it a better experience for everyone, and also track who is out there in case someone doesn't make it back. Let's take Glacier National Park, for example, a super popular park for backpacking. If you go to the website, you can see that Glacier National Park has some different permit regulations, even at different times of the year. Now this is going to complicate your trip a little bit more, and since every national park has different regulations, we're not going to get into that much in this video. So my tip for backpacking in a national park is to check out their permit situation well ahead of time, like months ahead of time. Then you can find what trails are available through the national park website. Some parks like Glacier can be pretty overwhelming. If you already have a trail in mind or a system of trails in mind, you can go to the permit office with a plan and adjust from there based on what's available. Or sometimes you can pay a bit more and reserve that permit ahead of time and get the exact trail that you want. Again, I'm just using Glacier National Park as an example. I know that Teddy Roosevelt, all you have to do is just call and say, hey, I'm hiking here, and then you're good. That's your permit. Every national park is different. Okay, so let's look at my next trip again. So I want to go for at least 3 nights, and since that's the case, I can put out a good amount of miles, but I'm not gonna do anything too crazy. So with all trails, I can filter some of the options like the type of hike, so we're going backpacking, and the distance, so let's say like 15 to up to 30 miles. And I'm also looking for an awesome trail because I don't really know when I'm gonna be back out in this area. So let's say 4 or more stars. Okay, so now we're left with 10 different trails to choose from. This really helps me out a lot. Okay, so the last thing I would say is to maybe consider a trail's popularity. Usually you can find this within those apps and websites that I suggested. But if you're newer to backpacking, then I would suggest going to a more popular trail, or if not, I hope you're going with someone who is more experienced. Looking at the amount of reviews here can show you how popular a trail is. Like this one has 660 reviews, so it's pretty popular, where this one only has 6 reviews. Also keep in mind that if a trail is super popular, parking at a trailhead can be kind of difficult. You might need to get there super early in the morning in order to get a spot. So if you're going to a very popular trail, make sure you check out the parking situation, or just make sure that you have transportation set up if that's available. Okay, so let's take a look at what backpacking trail I'm going to do. Let's open up a handful of these. Sure, we'll say this one. I'm just opening them and putting them in different tabs. You can filter through some of the pictures, which is sweet, and kind of see what it might be based on some other people's experiences. Sure, we'll open that one up also. Highline River, Wind Cave, that one just sounds sweet. 27 Loop Trail. Okay, that could be cool. Let's narrow it down a little bit more. That one's only 15.7. I think that'd be a little bit too short for what we're looking for. Mostly bushwhacking. 75% of you need to push the thorny branches out of your way. Well, that doesn't sound too fun, and I think that might be a little bit too short also. This one is 21.6 miles out and back. Hiking, what's the elevation? Not getting super high. What's cool is you can also look at the map on all trails and see what the elevation grade is like. So we're not getting up super high. We're gonna keep this one on the list for now. North Fork Provo River Trail. Here, this loop trail looks like it might be nice. Mill Flat. And this one looks like something I'd more want to do because we're getting a good amount of miles on. 27 miles. That could be good for a few days. Looks like there's plenty of water around, a lot of lower lands. Let's see what the photos look like. Ooh, a lot of snow. That looks pretty cool. And it's a loop. Loops are a lot of fun. 3,700 feet of elevation, nothing too crazy, especially over the course of like 27 miles. So we're not going up super high. Okay, I think I'm more for this loop trail. So we're gonna say, for my next big backpacking trip, which is coming up, Granddaddy Basin Trail. That should be a lot of fun. It's a good 27-mile loop. I mean, that'll be at least 2 nights of backpacking, hopefully 3, which would be great. So I think that'll be a fun trail. Okay, we found a trail, and there, I think we've covered just about everything to at least help you start to find the right trail for backpacking. There is so much more that goes into planning a backpacking trip, like what kind of gear to bring based on the weather, what food to bring, how much food to bring, and these are all things that I want to talk about in future videos. But it's just gonna be too much to get into in this one video right now. So with all this information, you should be able to find the right trail for you, and I hope that this little guide helped you plan your next backpacking trip. If you guys have any more questions, please leave them in the comment section down below. I'd love to help you out even more and help get more people out on the trail. So thank you all for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one.